The Miami Marlins became the first team in the year of our Lord 2025 to lose a series to the Rockies.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Marlins. I'm your host, Jeremiah Geiger. I've been podcasting about the Marlins for 3 seasons now. Go hit me up on X at Jeremiah Geiger 2. And thank you for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Don't forget to hit subscribe to the YouTube channel and let me know your thoughts in the comments section. And that's probably the most energetic you're going to hear me, or happy you're going to hear me in this episode. Before I get into this episode, I want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. On today's show, the Marlins just lost again to the Colorado Rockies. The worst team in the history of baseball. That is not hyperbole. With those 2 wins, the Rockies are now on pace to win a whopping 29 games in this season. The Marlins can't hit. I'm going to break down Sandy Alcantara's start. Although he was pulled early, it was a step in the right direction. That's a positive. But Clayton McCulla, what is he doing? Let's start with this game. Quick rundown. Rockies win 3-2. The difference was a Hunter Goodman Hunter Goodman solo home run in, the 8th inning off Anthony Bender. That was the difference. The Marlins didn't score from the 3rd inning onward against one of the best pitching staffs in Major League Baseball. The Rockies are incredible at pitching baseballs. No, that's a lie. The Rockies are awful at that. The Rockies are awful at hitting. And yet, they just won a series at Lone Depot Park against the Marlins. I don't even know what to say right now, because I want to be positive. I want this show to be a positive environment where we can look with optimism to the future, both the immediate future and for the weeks and months to come. But that loss right there, the way this team has been playing, what do you want me to say positive about the Marlins right now? Sandy Alcantara didn't get blown up. He didn't give up 5 runs and get bounced in the 4th inning. Yeah, I'll say that. Kyle Stowers got a couple base hits. Jesus Sanchez got a couple base hits. He's been on fire the last week or so, and that's great. But as a collective group, there is no excuse to lose a series to the Colorado Rockies. I don't know how much of the rest of the league the watchers or listeners of this show watch on a nightly basis. I religiously watch the Marlins. If you're watching this show, you do too. But just based on the eye test, watching the Colorado Rockies the last couple of games, this is not a good baseball team. There's a reason they're on pace to be the worst team in the history of our glorious sport. And you just dropped 2, and you're in danger of getting swept tomorrow morning. Swept. That can't happen. At all costs, avoid the sweep. But this Marlins team, man, I talked with LMF about this on Monday's show, how this was a must-win series for so many reasons. The Marlins are at the point right now in their rebuild where they're trying to figure out who is going to be here long-term. They have large enough sample sizes of these players to know whether they're trending in the right direction or maybe you don't have something with them. And you swung and missed on some of these young guys. Augustin Ramirez, it's great. He's going to have his ups and downs. In this one, in tonight's game, let's see, 0 for 3. He did walk, but had a couple at-bats. It was just unproductive. A couple ground outs. That's going to happen. I'm not upset with individual players. That's not the purpose of this show. The purpose is, as a collective group, you just lost a series to the Rockies, and that should never happen this season. It shouldn't. They entered this series 9-50. They play horrific baseball. And the Marlins outdid them at bad baseball, and they didn't make the plays that they needed to in order to win the game. They are not clutch right now. They've had clutch moments. They've had their share of walk-offs, and it's been great. But going back to last weekend against the Giants, you had an opportunity to win that series, if not sweep the Giants. The Giants can't hit, but neither could the Marlins, and that's carried on into the series against the Rockies. Oh my goodness. The runners left on base. It's a constant thing with this team. Runners in scoring position, 2 for 9. I don't even know. Who's going to step up and make the big hits? Who is going to be here and deliver? Who has the leadership to take a struggling lineup and rally the troops and get them back to what we saw last week in San Diego? The Padres are a night and day different team than the Rockies. It's not even close. It's not even on the same, stratosphere. And that was an entertaining series. You played well the first game, should have won. You won the third one, put up a lot of runs in that last game, and then this one, or you play the Giants, everything crashes back down to earth. It's like the long flight from San Diego to Miami. Just during that time period, something happened and everyone forgot how to hit. The Rockies, their pitching staff is horrible. Sandy Alcantara got the start. I talked about this on yesterday's show. This was a must-succeed start for Sandy Alcantara. He needed to pitch well in this one, and he did. He pitched well against the Colorado Rockies. I'm going to talk about him. I'm also going to talk about the fact that he got taken out at 70 pitches and why I didn't like that decision. But there's room to be excited for. He's trending in the right direction now. It's one step forward, and that's always a positive. I'm going to talk about that right after this. And this episode is brought to you by our friends at Monarch Money. Do you ever check your bank account and you wonder, where did all my money go? Between online shopping, DoorDash, entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money, it's not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. If you're like me, you tend to frequent some food delivery. Sometimes you're lazy, you don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to leave the house, or whatever the circumstances are. You want to DoorDash something, and that can add up. So that's where Monarch Money is perfect for those situations. It's going to help you budget smarter and save more money. You don't got to juggle multiple apps. Just use Monarch to check your finances, track that spending, and then you can plan your long-term financial goals as well on the app. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's right, half off, guys. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. If you're an everyday listener to Locked On Marlins, I appreciate you for being part of the Locked On Marlins crew. If this is your first or second time checking us out, hit subscribe. Come back Monday through Friday. We're going to be here all season talking about the Marlins. Sandy Alcantara got the start. He went 6 innings. Let's see here. 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Dropped his season ERA to 7.89. So at least it's not above 8. That's a good sign. What I liked most about Sandy Alcantara's start and why I say this is a good step forward in the right direction. There's still work to be done. I'm not going to overreact to an outing against the Rockies, but he mixed his pitch count really well. I think that needs to be taken note of. It was led by the sinker 33% of the time, and then you got curveball 20%, slider 17%, four seam 16%, changeup 14%. So he relied upon that sinker, but he mixed everything else up really well, and he got those ground balls. He got a few strikeouts, and he was effective. He was efficient. He was churning through innings like you want, like you expect. That was a classic Sandy start through the first 6. Yeah, he had that hiccup in which he gave up a couple runs, but it was only in 1 inning. He limited the damage. He ended up getting Hunter Goodman to strike out on a beautiful, beautiful fastball up at the top of the zone at 98 miles an hour. Then he gets through the 6th, scoreless, and then the 7th inning rolls around, and he's not out there. 70 pitches, gone. Why are we taking Sandy Alcantara out of the game? He is your ace. I can't buy the argument, oh, we want him to feel confident in himself and exit the game knowing that he had a good outing. Sandy's a competitor. I believe Sandy could have gone out there for the 7th inning. I think he could have gone out for the 8th. If he's efficient in that, maybe he could go out for the 9th. 70 pitches. We've seen Sandy throw over 100. And I know the counter argument to this is, but this is 2025 Sandy. This isn't the same Sandy as before. He's been horrible this season. What if he gets into a really bad inning and just blows the game? Then you know what? That's what happens. And then you deserve to lose. And Sandy Alcantara deserves to lose the baseball game if at 80 pitches he falters against one of the worst lineups. No, the worst lineup constructed by a Major League Baseball team. If Sandy can't do that, then he deserves to lose the baseball game. I don't know what to tell you. But to play soft and baby him, I didn't like that. Now, in the 7th, Calvin Fauché pitched a scoreless 7th. But then Bender comes in, gives up the home run to Hunter Goodman, and that's all she wrote. Because the Marlins offense, like I talked about in the first segment, just forgot how to hit. They can't hit with runners in scoring position. They're not clutch. They can't get the job done. There's no excuse to not score a run from the 3rd inning onward against this team. There's just not. I'm not going to buy it. But Sandy Alcantara, moving forward for him, now looking at the positive side, he shouldn't have been taken out early, but now he has a good start, a good quality start under his belt. He has confidence in himself. I don't think that this start is the be-all, end-all because, again, the opponent you're facing, I don't want to overreact to that opponent. But as the season continues, as we head into the thick of June and then July, if he can string 2, 3, 4 of these starts together, and then the next time he's in a situation like this in which he's rolling, McCullough leaves him in the game and he finishes the 7th, maybe he finishes the 8th, now the agenda's back on. Now teams are going to say, okay, he had an awful first 2 months of the year, but what I'm watching now is Sandy Alcantara, who is going to demand that haul at the trade deadline. And then all the trade rumors, all the speculations, that's all back on the table. It started with Colorado. It was must-watch baseball for me as a Marlins fan, because if Sandy Alcantara went out there and didn't do well, Then we're looking at where do we go from here? Panic meter is at 10, flashing red sirens all around. But he's able now to just take a step back, get his rest days, prepare himself for the next outing, which, let's see here, it should be, I'm going to pull this up, should be against Pittsburgh. Yeah, it should be against Pittsburgh, which on the road at Pittsburgh, another cupcake matchup to kind of continue the momentum. It's all about momentum for Sandy Alcantara, stringing together quality starts. You can't gain back everything in one outing. You can't drop that ERA all the way down in one start. That's impossible. It's against the rules of physics. But you know what? You can build momentum, and momentum is a real thing. And Sandy Alcantara, being the competitor and the pitcher that he is, with the stuff as it is, it's only going to get better. At least I hope so. What Sandy did really well also, I wanted to specifically note, even his misses when he was missing the zone and they were called a ball. So when he wasn't hitting the strike zone and getting those called strikes or whiffs, they were really close. They were on the edges. They weren't mistake pitches. They weren't uncompetitive pitches. That's one of the aspects of pitching I really like when talking about a pitcher. How is a pitcher missing? Is he missing 2 feet above the zone, 3 feet outside of it with a yanked slider? Or is it a really good 97-mile-an-hour sinker that just missed outside and easily could have been swung at? And it was a good decision by the hitter. That's one thing you have to watch for. And Sandy did a very good job of that tonight. Because again, location and execution is what was holding Sandy back the first 2 months. It's not health. It's not velocity. It's the mental aspect of the game of controlling the zone, controlling and sequencing your stuff to execute at a high level. I still got faith in Sandy Alcantara. That calmed me down watching those 6 innings. It was efficient. But taken out after 70 pitches, Clayton McCulla, questionable decision. And that wasn't the only questionable decision he made tonight. We have to talk about the Marlins manager. That's coming up right after this. And this show is brought to you by our friends at Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Whether it's you or a coworker or a friend, relative who works in these industries, you can use their website. It's packed with helpful resources, the latest product info, and they got a ton of products. Their inventory, over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands. You will literally find anything and everything you want. If you need help at all when it comes to an order, you ordered something, you need some help with it, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service. You're not going to talk to a robot. You'll always talk to a real person. I don't like talking to robots, and I bet you don't also. If you're one of those professionals who are looking for that extra edge to your business or your craft, they got a free Trade Master program with exclusive perks like that dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. So join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. A reminder, if you're not watching the show on YouTube, I encourage you to do so. Leave some comments in the comment section. Watching the show is always fun, but you can listen to it. Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, you name it, every major podcast platform out there. But now I have to ask you guys the question, what is Clayton McCulla doing? Because I don't know. Sometimes it feels like everything is run out of an analytical model and he doesn't make his own decisions. And then other times it feels like he makes decisions based on a whim that literally make no sense. First off, the Sandy Alcantara thing. Whether you're on the side of, hey, I'm happy with it, I'm not going to question the fact that he was taken out after 70, it's good that he got his confidence. Whether you're on that side or not, the fact of the matter is Clayton took out Sandy Alcantara at 70 pitches. It doesn't make sense to me. Number two, here's a big one. Ninth inning, you're down a run. Okay, you just given the lead up in the eighth inning. Coming up next, you have Dane Myers, Nick Fortes, and Javier Sanoja. It's a righty on the mound. He throws hard. He's hitting 101, 102 with a 90-mile-an-hour slider. It's a tough arm to face. You pinch hit for Dane Myers. Dane Myers is hitting 305 on the year with an OPS of 795. Before the injury, he was far and away the best breakout story right alongside Kyle Stowers that the Marlins have had. McCullough pinch hits for him because it's a righty versus righty. Just leave Myers in the game, man. Not everything has to be matchup dependent. Instead, he pinch hits Liam Hicks for Dane Myers. Hicks pops out. I don't have a problem with Hicks coming into the ballgame. I wanted Dane Myers to hit, and then Liam Hicks can pinch hit for Nick Fortes, who was right after. But Nick Fortes got pinch hit as well for a righty, for Connor Norby. So they bring Norby ice cold off the bench. Norby goes down. He hits a high pop-up. And then Heriberto Hernandez, who had struck out every plate appearance, is a 0 for 4 to start his career. He pinch hits for Javier Sanoja, who had drawn 2 walks, and at that point was representing the tying run. One of the best young contact hitters that the Marlins have. He puts the ball in play, and he had a good game defensively and also his eye at the plate. He wasn't chasing these bad pitches. Now, albeit, Heriberto Hernandez puts a charge into one, and I thought it was out of here. I sat up, and my eyes got big, and my heart stopped for a second. Can the Marlins tie this game? And it gets caught at the warning track. Game over. So credit to Hernandez for putting a really good swing on that pitch, but I would have done things so much differently there. Number one, the fact that you're pinch hitting 3 consecutive batters in a row just to play the matchup game for some of it. And with Hernandez, it felt like that was a last ditch attempt to get a home run. That's really what it felt like. That Hernandez was up there only to try to take some good old country hacks at a fastball or a hanging slider and send it over the fence and tie the game. I would have left Dane in there, pinch hit Liam Hicks for Fortes, lefty versus righty. Hicks is a better hitter than Fortes objectively anyway. It makes sense. But then either leave Sanoja in the game or maybe you can pinch hit Norby for Sanoja. I can live with that. But 3 for 3 when they're all ice cold off the bench, it doesn't make any sense. And I wonder exactly. I'm struggling to come up with an answer for this. What has Clayton McCulla shown as a manager to this point that gives us faith that he's the man for the job moving forward, that he's the guy that's going to elevate this team into a playoff contender under his leadership? Of course, it's not just him. The personnel decisions and the ownership are always going to outweigh the managerial position, in my opinion. If you're handcuffed by poor ownership and lack of spending, lack of quality personnel, there's only so much you can do. But I can't name you one thing Clayton McCulla has done that is elevating this team, that is giving the Marlins a clear advantage over some of their counterparts behind the scenes in the dugout. How he handles the bullpen, it's nothing special. It's different every night. You don't know who's coming in. It could have been Ronnie Enriquez. It could be Tyler Phillips now, who's getting the ball in a one-run ball game. It can be Calvin Fauché in the 7th. It can be Calvin Fauché in the 9th. It feels like a Dr. Seuss book. Fauché in the 7th, Bender the 9th. I got to come up with a rhyme for that. I don't know. But it's just all over the place. The lineup. They've never repeated the same lineup ever this season. Not once. What are we, game 59, game 60, something like that? It's always something different. Mixing and matching. I don't think that's McCullough, to be honest, the lineup part. I think that's a computer, that's some sort of model that somebody in the front office is relying on. They have some formula of some sorts, but it's odd. It's strange that at this point in the season, past Memorial Day, we're a third of the way through and they haven't repeated the same lineup. I'm not hating on Clayton McCulla as a person or as a leader. He's been in a winning organization. He's seen what it takes to win. But it's a huge difference from being a coach and being the guy, being the manager. There's only a handful of managers in the league. There's a ton of pitchers, there's a ton of coaches, but there's only one guy running the ship for each MLB team. McCullough goes up there behind the dugout, and anytime the camera pans to him, it's the same emotions. There's no passion that I see on his face. The umpires over the last few weeks in particular have screwed the Marlins on more calls than I can count. Whether they're hitting, it's a bad call and it goes against them. It's called a strike when it's way outside of the zone. When they're pitching, the same thing, tight zones. It feels more often than not this is the case. You'll not hear a peep from Clayton McCulla. Hasn't been ejected. It seems like he hasn't even gotten angry at an umpire. And that just, there's no passion there. Sometimes it feels like he's literally just a robot as the manager. Clayton the robot. And we have a robo-ump. Like that movie, RoboCop. I don't know. There's just no elevation above just average, above the necessary requirements to fill out a lineup card and turn it in and make bullpen decisions. And even the bullpen decisions still, again, all over the place. You can't get swept to this by the Rockies. You just can't. It can't happen. It's embarrassing what is happening right now. It's embarrassing. The Marlins have lost 2 in a row to an awful, awful baseball team, and they're in danger of getting swept at their own stadium. It's a morning game, guys. First pitch at 11:30 in the morning. Let me know your thoughts about everything I talked about. The hitting. Sandy Alcantara, do you feel that he's on the right path now? Was this a step in the right direction? And Clayton McCulla, do you question his decisions? Do you think he's the man for the job? Do you want to see some more passion out of him and this team as a whole? Because I do. That's going to do it for today's edition of Locked On Marlins. I appreciate you guys for listening as always. For your second listen of the day, go check out the new Locked On MLB Game Night over on the Locked On MLB channel. And until next time, stay safe, stay locked on, and let's go fish.